But this is what we say, that when you consider something to be more important than everything else, and this is the problem in every group. This is the potential problem of every group. There are so many people today, from the al-Muslimeen, for example, we take an example, right, who have become disenfranchised. al-Muslimeen, Jamaat Islami, other groups as well, right? We can take many names, who have become disenfranchised because there was one good aspect in it. And the good aspect was, in both of these groups, of doing something practical. Movement, harakah, activity, taking action. But sometimes there's some very good people within this. But then at other times what happens is, they don't see the spirituality, they feel it inner. Then when they see that there's actually problems within the same people who they've learnt this from, their movement from, and they don't have any action, they become disenfranchised. Now, if the particular ethos that they have followed criticized every other group, so you've got somebody from a particular movement, whatever movement that may be, and that movement has said everybody else is doing wrong because they don't do as much work as we do in our particular field. That's what generally happens. Right? Then what's going to happen is, if you become disenfranchised with your own movement, you've already become disenfranchised from other movements because they've been excluded for you already. Now you've been excluded from your own movement and you become completely lost. And there are so many people like this that have been part of movements. Within that movement they think everybody else is wrong and they're not doing enough. Then they've become disenfranchised from their own movement and now they have nothing left. And they are some of the most, I feel sorry for them. They had potential, but somehow it's been completely lost. They can't go to, and you will sit with such people and you'll hear them criticizing this group and that group and that group and every single group. So my question to them is, can you tell me one group or one ulama, one alim that you think is on doing what you think should be done? If they can at least provide you a few ulama, a few groups that are still what they consider to be doing something, then I'll say, okay, maybe you've got a chance. But if they tell you that they can't think of anybody, then this is shaitan. There has to be somebody doing something right. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said so. There will always be a group. There will always be somebody, a group, a ta'ifa, that will be on the haqq. Now if your upbringing, your nurturing, your movement, whatever it may have been, has made you criticize everybody to such a degree that nobody is doing anything valuable, then you seriously have got a problem, because the Prophet ﷺ said that the one who says everybody's destroyed is the most destroyed of them all. Because that is despondency. Allah doesn't want us to be despondent. He wants us to have hope. He wants us to have hope. Now we understand and we know very clearly that nearly every group out there has weaknesses. That's my starting premise. Every group has weaknesses because the groups are built up of humans and humans are weak. So if you think your group that you follow is perfect, then that's misleading. I would have affinities to groups, but I know we've got weaknesses. But I know we have huge strengths as well, alhamdulillah. As humans, we have weaknesses. We're not prophets. We're not divinely guided like prophets. But that's fine, that's understandable. And I also know that there are other groups whom I may even criticize. I know they have some very good factors that I can't do, or that my group is not doing. And that's why we need to work together. As long as they're on haqq, as long as they're trying, then we will complement each other. We will complement each other. This is where people lose out. And I've met some of these people and they're now much older sometimes. Some individuals I've said they were from a particular group and they've just become disenfranchised with everything. May Allah guide us all. Because it can be in a very isolated, very lonely position for you to be in, where you think you can't work with anybody. Eventually such people, they lose their deen. There's one particular individual I read a book of, he's a very famous writer. And he talks about how from the 60s, I think it's 60s or 70s, he went through nearly every group. He has an assessment of every group, all the popular groups that are out there, whether that be Tablighi Jamaat, Ikhwan al-Muslimeen, Jamaat Islami, Salafis. He's been through everything, criticizes them all. He ends up saying, I'm a Mu'tazili. Now come on, a Mu'tazilism was discredited centuries ago. And after all of this, you actually find that that's what you want? And you must be... Allah help you. Allah help us all. Allah help us all.